Hello Aries, welcome to your weekly tarot reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. This is for the week of February 26th through March 4th. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I'm providing. All right. Remember that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Here we've got a Four of Swords to start us out. Okay, let's put that into some context. That's some fairly balanced air energy. We also have the Fool coming out. That is pretty terrific, I must say. Let's do our Dove and Serpent spread. Let's do our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. We're going to put that right over here. We're not going to look at that until the very end of the reading, okay? So you have to stick around until the end. And hopefully that card will tie everything together, give us the confirmation that we're looking for at the very end of things, okay? So, we've got some court cards. We've got some water, some air, some fire. We've got some air, some earth, some more fire court cards. It's a pretty balanced reading today. I think it's going to be a week where everything seems to come together nicely. It looks like there is kind of a lot going on with the nature of the water and some of this air energy, but I think everything's going to resolve very nicely, okay? So whatever kind of conflict that we're kind of facing this week, I feel like we're approaching it with this Four of Swords kind of vibe, this energy that you have this week, okay? I think you're someone who is, you're very forgiving and you're very, very tolerant of others. I think you kind of don't really want, you don't really want the conflict, you know? I think you're kind of a peacekeeper in your life. I think that you have tremendous ability to like negotiate or to mediate any kind of conflicts. Okay, with the Four of Swords here, I feel a real balance. I feel that you're someone who has like a certain set method for dealing with conflict. You know, you kind of have a go-to playbook that you use. Okay, and I feel like that's going to be kind of necessary this week. Now, I'm not sure exactly what's going on yet. As we get through these cards, we'll see some of the other influences on your energy this week. Okay. But I think that with some of this fire energy and then with this Fool and with this water, it kind of feels like there's going to be a situation that really requires your kind of like an instant reaction, right? And honestly, I think this is kind of part of Aries' evolution. Your spiritual work in life as an Aries, I think, is to develop your response/reaction to situations in a more effective, balanced way, in a healthier way. I think with Aries, at least a lot of Aries that I've encountered, sometimes very quick to react to things. You know, it's just like there's not a lot of forethought in things. When there's a situation that warrants an immediate action, Aries is the first one to rush into it. Okay, for better or for worse. So I think in situations like this, it's important when we can to pause, okay, or maybe not even pause. Maybe this is something that happens beforehand. Maybe this really is that playbook where we've run through several scenarios about how to handle emergencies, right? It's like the reason why you train for emergencies is so that in the moment when that emergency happens, you'll know how to react. Your body, your mind will just react. You won't have to think about it. You won't have to pull out the playbook and flip through and find the right play and then go for it, right? But I think this is part of the lesson for Aries in this stage of your spiritual evolution is to do the training so that when you do react with that impulse and that kind of Aries, that cardinal energy, you'll have the automatic responses already in place to handle any situation almost perfectly. You know what I mean? And not that there's going to be an emergency this week. That's not what I'm saying. It's just our reaction to that kind of stimuli, right? To any situation that kind of prompts us to act immediately. Okay. I think that you are working on this playbook. You're working on this training. You know, I think with the Four of Swords here, you are someone who has gone through a lot of kind of like routines and scenarios, and you've run a lot of plays in your head, let's say, in order to establish the kind of automatic response that I think is the work of Aries, right? Cardinal fire. That's a sign that is, you know, metaphorically the first one into the fire, right? First responders, first people on the scene, the first people to act in any situation. You know, it's that Aries impulse. Okay, and I think that requires a lot of training, and I think that you are doing this work even unconsciously, even though it may not be in the front of your mind that you're doing this kind of work. But I think there's a lot of unconscious training going on with you, right? Learning how to handle different situations, running through scenarios, hypotheticals, thought experiments, to understand how you handle stress, how you handle pressure. Okay. Now, I don't know where the pressure is really coming from in your life. I think there's some emotional situation that's going on right now with you that is going to require some mediation, some negotiation, some really balanced interactions and communications. Okay, so the Four of Swords is kind of your required energy this week. You're going to need to be thoughtful and balanced, and I think you very much are. I think a lot of you probably have some strong air influences in your astrological chart, because I feel like there's really a focus on the negotiation, the kind of conflict resolution with you. Okay, I think you're just a very fair person. I think that you are trying not to let yourself react spontaneously, impulsively, and you're rather trying to think things through before, you know, taking action. Okay, and that's a very good thing. I think it's in a little bit of a conflict with the kind of natural Aries energy, like we were talking about. You know, I think that Aries energy wants to experience a situation, you get that stimuli, and you act. There's no thought involved there, right? So I think we're doing all of this thought now to try to train our minds, brains, bodies, subconscious, whatever, to react in a more healthy and wholesome way when it does act instantaneously like that. You know what I mean? So we're consciously trying to slow it down. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Okay, and I think this is the energy that is kind of, you're in this mode this week. You're in this mode. I don't know if there are other conflicts going on in your life. We see some of these court cards, fire, water court cards. That tells me that there may be some conflict between either yourself and some people close to you, or between your family members or your friends, and you're kind of in the middle of things a little bit. But then again, it feels like you have your own thing going on too. So it could be kind of a lot of this miscommunication stuff going on right now. Okay. What we see in the present is this Fool energy. Okay, now the Fool energy is telling me that you might really be in this kind of this period of like suspended decision. You're kind of like you're up in the air about something. Okay. And I think this goes right along with that Four of Swords. It's just like there's an emotional situation and you're trying not to react with that Aries energy. You're trying to suspend judgment. You're trying to think things through. You're just kind of, you're up in the air about it, like this Fool card, okay? The Fool card, on the one hand, I think is talking about there being a fresh start. It's almost as if this situation just, it kind of got beyond recovery. You know what I mean? It deteriorated so much, there's really, there's no reviving it. Okay, that's one possibility. And I think this is what we're up in the air about. This is what we're trying to use this Four of Swords to really think things through, not act impulsively. Let's think about it. Let's calm down, take a breath. Let's stabilize, center, and think about this, right? I feel like that's your energy right now. So the Fool is kind of torn between or up in the air about this just starting fresh, just going out in a new direction, because this situation, especially looking at the Seven of Cups here, situation maybe is getting a little too toxic. Okay. So it feels like this is, the possibility of going out in a new direction. This is the possibility of, I feel like you're kind of gazing, you're in this situation, but you're looking out into the distance, and you're just thinking, maybe I just need to go in a new way, a new direction, take a step towards something else, or at least take a step away from this toxic situation. Because, again, I think that's what you're up in the air about, is whether or not this situation is beyond recovery or too toxic to really remedy. Okay. So the Fool's not really sure what to do, but I think what you are doing internally is fighting against this fire energy that we see on the path of the dove on the vertical axis. This is more conscious, unconscious. This is more internal, whereas the horizontal plane is more of the kind of linear flow of events, how the energy is moving forward in space and time, right? So we'll get to the rest of the horizontal plane, but let's talk about your energies a little bit more. Down beneath everything, we've got this Five of Wands. This is, again, reinforcing the idea that you're kind of battling this unconscious kind of Aries energy. It's like the Aries part of you, because you're not just an Aries, right? You know that. There are so many other forces and energies in your astrological makeup. That Aries, it may be a dominant part, but maybe not. Okay. Now, with the Aries energy, and this really is a beautiful card to talk about Aries, even though this card is ruled by Saturn in Leo, this is really kind of about the discipline of the thing. This is about trying to keep that Aries energy in check. Trying to maintain it in a balanced, more sustained way, because with Aries, it's a flash in the pan. It's intense activity is like a burst, and then it's kind of over. So we want to make sure that that burst is, one, in the correct direction, aimed at the appropriate, targets, and, is full of the correctness, right? That it's the right burst of energy. And then two, we want to try to sustain that, right? And that's where the Leo energy comes in with this Five of Wands. We're trying to sustain that burst of energy, so it's not just a flash in the pan, that it's something that can endure a little bit longer. Okay. But this, I think, is what you're battling against, is this fighting spirit. This is from an unconscious place in you, you have this drive to just brute force the situation, right? It's almost like you feel this kind of surge of adrenaline or whatever it is, and you want to act. You have to consciously restrain yourself with this air energy, really, with trying to temper that fire just a little bit with the air, right? Maybe pulling back some of the air, like withdrawing a little bit of oxygen from the room so that the fire dies down just a little bit, right? Take that air away and use it for this rational thinking, this, organizing your playbook kind of situation. Because I think you are battling this impulse to just attack, just fight and force and fire and just battle your way through this situation. Okay. And you have a very competitive spirit. I think that you are somebody who enjoys that kind of, those bursts of activity, right? Maybe you're doing like the high intensity interval training kind of thing, right? You love those quick, intense bursts of energy, whether it's in physical exercise or in your career or in like a sport or just in the way that you approach life, you approach new situations, the way you approach that kind of stimuli, like we're talking about the emergency situation and your instant reaction. I think you really do enjoy those kinds of things. You enjoy that intense burst of activity. Okay. But I think you're doing the Aries work and you're trying to educate and inform and train that Aries part of you so that those reactions can be more correct and more sustained, right? You're trying to really maximize that Aries energy, perfect it almost. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're drawn to these kind of adrenaline pumping activities, you know, skydiving or any kind of like thrill seeking. Maybe you just really like roller coasters, or you like, you know, shooting sports, or you like hunting, or even paintballing or something. Something that has this kind of, this almost like a hunter vibe, almost like this simulated danger kind of thing, right? And maybe you're law enforcement or military and it's actual danger, okay? But I feel like there's that kind of attraction there where you like that feeling. And I think it comes from an unconscious drive in you, okay? And I relate that to that Aries energy that's trying to work itself out in this manifestation to reach the next stage of its evolution, you know. The recent past, let's go there now and talk about the Seven of Cups. This is that toxic situation that I think is still very close to you in time. This is in the recent past, but I think it's probably something that's still ongoing. This could be an actual event that happened. It could be just kind of like a period of time in your life that you're kind of growing out of. You're moving out of that. We're suspended in this air for right now before we really decide on the future and what action to take. Okay. Now remember I said with the air energy that it feels like you're kind of mediating between some fire and water somewhere else in your life. I don't know, friends, family members, someone close to you. It seems like there's some fighting going on around you, that you're trying to act as the mediator, right? Because the air energy mediates between the fire and the water. So I feel like there's some of that going on somewhere with you. But I feel like you also have your own emotional situation that you're dealing with, okay? Now, this could be related to these other people that you're kind of mediating their conflict. It could be something completely separate. I'm not really too sure, but I feel like the situation has gotten so toxic that now you're kind of you're springing into action like that Aries, you know, does. And you're just trying to make the right decision, the informed, thoughtful, the correct decision, something that you can sustain too, not something that's just an impulsive action and then you withdraw and think, well, that wasn't very productive. So what this situation was, I'm not too sure if it involves an overindulgence in someone or something. Could be you've been spending too much time with a person, with an activity. This could be some kind of substances that we are maybe misusing. This could be kind of anything that brings us out of our emotional pain, right? But at the same time, then it's kind of causing more emotional pain. This is almost like our coping mechanisms, the way that we tend to escape from what's going on in our lives, right? So I don't know, we can have this in a person, in an activity, in a substance, in a state of mind, in literally anything, right? Anything can be used for this kind of this escape tactic, right? But I think this is in the past. I think you've recognized that something here is getting too toxic for you, whether it's that relationship with a person or an activity or whatever. So this is the recent past, okay? And you know, I think it may be a relationship. It may be a romantic relationship that is just not, it's not doing it for you anymore. You're realizing that it's not healthy and it's not good for you. But we're still kind of up in the air about what to do, okay? But let's go to the immediate future now, because this is kind of telling me, if we look at it linearly, we've got the toxic water, we've got this air, this kind of suspension, this trying to figure it out. And then we've got some new water, right? Princess of Cups. This is not necessarily another person or a new person in your life. This is taking those baby steps in a new emotional direction, okay? So this could be that you're slowly turning towards more self-love, more self-care, right? It's okay to be alone and take care of self. It's okay to nurture yourself and heal yourself. Okay. This could be taking those baby steps in a new direction with a new romantic partner. Sure, it could be that. But the idea here is that you're slowly easing into a new emotional situation, a new emotional relationship, perhaps just with yourself, you know. But this is the baby steps. You're definitely turning away from the toxic situation that you were in, and you're taking the first few steps in this new, these new emotions, this new kind of feeling area of your life. And it could be that these are brand new feelings, you know, of self-love and self-care and healing, right? It could be rather new for you, but I feel like it's kind of testing the water with the princess here, okay? And that's what I see as being the immediate future. So however you handle this fire energy, I believe that it's leading towards these first few steps in this new emotional direction, okay? Now, up above everything on the path of the dove, we have the Prince of Wands. Now, this card connects the fiery energy with the air energy. The princes are the air aspect of the suit that they're in. So this is the air aspect of the fire, okay? And this is the Prince of Wands here. So I think this is really your action, your activity, your response, this Aries energy, this fire that you have, right? I think is really becoming informed by all of this like mental training, right? Which we're calling mental training, thought experiments, the hypotheticals, the just running through scenarios, the thoughtfulness. So I think your actions are really going to be informed by that air energy, by that that kind of grounding, that centeredness. If we look back at the Four of Swords, there's a real sense of balance and centeredness, right? All of the swords are pointed toward the center there, and it's like everything is just in balance and just kind of resonating with each other. It's just a real harmony, an internal harmony, a mental harmony, right? Peace of mind, really focused, settled, clear thinking. And I think the Fool is really talking about you setting off in this new direction, right? And then the new direction being this emotional area, whether it's with a relationship with a person or yourself, or, you know, whatever this new path is as far as your emotions go. The activity, your Aries activity, is very much informed by this air energy, okay? Now, as we move over to the path of the Serpent, we see this fire energy now not expressing itself through the air, like we saw here, being informed by that air. Now we see this fiery energy being informed or acting through this new water energy. Okay, so we've got this fire, but it's like this fire is going through a lot of transformations right now, right? The fire down here was pure force and fire, pure just kicking down doors. We're informing it with the air to move into this new water. And now the water is informing the fire, and we're using this to express ourselves emotionally, to, to kind of balance our fiery Aries nature with now more compassion, more love, more understanding. And I think first and foremost, this is representing your new acceptance and tolerance and compassion for yourself. Okay. I think whatever this toxic situation was, caused some kind of mix-up with you. It's just like you weren't really thinking clearly at the time. You know, it was as if this water was literally, you know, poisoning you. And, you know, when your body is poisoned or you have a fever, you don't think straight, right? You just become kind of out of it, for lack of a better term. But I think with this clarity that we see with the air energy, then informing the fire, moving into the self-love, self-care, the healing phase, and now this fire being expressed through this water energy. Okay, it's the fluidity of the fire. It is fire that is not burning things down, not self-destructive, not destructive at all. It's the fire that is warm and generous and is taking care of people, taking care of self. It is also the fire that keeps the predators away when we're camping, right? It keeps the bugs and the snakes from harming us. So this is a fire now that is balanced and strong and confident and assertive, but it's also a fire with tremendous compassion and understanding. And again, that compassion first and foremost is aimed towards you, right? It's reflected internally. And I think the more self-love we have, the more confident we get in ourselves and in our own power, the more you can extend that to other people, and you can be that kind of shining example. You could be that lamp for other people, right? So we're moving into this water energy, but it really is kind of surrounded by this fire. You know, it's like the fire is protecting this kind of water element, and also, you know, keeping it from going cold and dark. It's just kind of keeping it active, you know. So I think we have a nice balance of elements, is what I'm trying to say. And this is really terrific as we go into the path of the serpent, because it feels like we're going to kind of need this balance, this confidence, this self-love, this like self-healing water and fire, right? I'm almost wondering if we're going to have a art or temperance card as this mystery card. I'm almost wondering if that's what we're going to have. The next card that we see is a 9 of Swords. This is not my favorite card. This card to me is not much different than the 7 of Cups here, okay? With the 2 of these, it was a very toxic situation. And the toxic situation, I think, maybe had a tendency to manifest as some real malice, some real just like hurtful exchanges. A lot of just like negative expressions of energy, you know? So it's like that, it's like this water, this toxic situation was poisoning your emotions and poisoning your mind also. Do you know what I mean? It made you feel in a way, in some type of way that was not healthy, that you did not like. It made you think and act and speak in ways that you do not wish to think and speak and act, right? So this is definitely a situation that you're using this Fool energy, this air energy to move away from. You're using your fire energy to move away from. And you're going into the healing water, right? So the 9 of Swords is in the position of your environment. I think that it was not only a toxic emotional environment, but it was toxic in the way that you communicated with this person or this, whatever the environment really was, okay? And I'm not trying to narrow down what this toxicity is exactly, because I think it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. But it made you feel and think and act in ways that you don't like, okay? So I think it's really important that you're moving away from this toxic environment. And then also, you know, there is kind of a positive aspect of the 9 of Swords, and that is the recognizing what we've done and where we've been and what we're doing now, right? It's that painful truth. It's almost like the first step is to admit that something wasn't working back there with that 7 of Cups, you know? And, you know, the 7 of Cups has its positive aspect too. There's no cards that are just bad cards, right? There are no bad cards. With the 7 of Cups, we're able to see through this illusion. We're able to see this state that we're in kind of from above and beyond to see what it really is, right? We're able to kind of take off the rose-colored glasses and see, wow, I thought this was a really beautiful, you know, fruit tree. It turns out it's just this really decaying, poisoned, toxic plant, you know? And the same thing with the mental activity, with the air energy. We're able to see that the way we've been communicating, both with ourselves, with others, in general, our thoughts, has been rather harmful, self-harm, perhaps. And I'm not trying to go down this really sensitive road. This is the situation that we're leaving behind. Okay, we're moving away from this, so I don't want to spend too much time there. The next card, the 5 of Pentacles, this is the uncertainty in your environment now. And I think this is scary and kind of frightening, causes anxiety. I don't care who you are. right? When you've gotten so comfortable in a situation, anytime that there's change or movement, it's going to cause us to worry a little bit, okay? This card is a little bit of anxiety. It's in the position of your anxiety, right? So you're, I think, feeling some anxiety over your environment changing. You know, even though it was a toxic situation and you recognize that, you're working on yourself and your Aries energy, you're working on your fire, your air, you're moving into the water. Despite all of that, change is still a little bit frightening, okay? But I think things are changing for the better. And this is just the inevitability of change. Things are going to change eventually, right? And change is not always a negative thing. It's not always a bad thing, right? It's kind of the only constant thing in the world is that it's constantly changing, okay? So this is really the environment. Maybe your living situation is changing. Maybe, your financial situation is going to be changing. It could be changing for the better. It could be that you're going to have just a lot more freedom, a lot more time, a lot more money, a lot more opportunity, So the change may be a little worrisome. It may cause some anxiety, but I think it's changing for the better. Okay. Now, the next card is quite interesting here because this is the Hermit energy. This is some Earth energy. This, I think, is how the future next few days, couple of weeks is going to manifest for you. I think that you are going to be spending some time alone. I think that you are going to be focused on self, focused on healing, focused on finding your inner light, reestablishing contact with what really matters to you, your purpose, your heart, your lamp, your spirit guides, guardian angel, God, goddess, deity, whatever you want to call it. I think this is an establishment of a real spiritual connection with yourself. Okay. So I do think that regardless of what this Princess of Cups is, if this is kind of leaning into a new relationship or just leaning into this self-care, self-healing vibe, I think there's going to be a few days of just focus on self, a little bit of a retirement from the activities. It's almost like you need a few days to recover from all of this toxicity, right? You got to just kind of sweat the fever out, And I think that's what the Hermit is signifying here. This is also a way to recharge your batteries, get your strength back up, get that inner fire going again, and really strengthen, your physical body especially, right? Get your strength back, get your vitality back. Just focus on yourself, physical, mental, and emotional healing and strengthening, and get the vitality. Okay, and you're going to be doing the spiritual work. You're going to have the opportunity, at least, to meditate or do your prayers, rituals, whatever it is that you do to kind of connect with spirit, right? And you don't have to call it spirit. You don't have to call it meditation or prayer. Whatever it is that gets you in touch with that deepest inner mystery that is you. Okay, let's look at the mystery card. I still think Art or Temperance card. To show the kind of the blending and the harmonizing of this fire and water. I don't know. This could be a few different things. Interesting. We've got the Princess of Discs. This could literally be indicating that this hermit mode energy, this kind of isolation, this retirement. This may be literally you're going to go to a different place and take a little vacation, take a rest somewhere, okay? This could be traveling to the spa or the recovery center or the retreat, right? It could literally be going to some kind of a retreat, okay? Which would match really well with this hermit energy. But this is primarily the result of this hermit mode, this strengthening yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, so that you can produce the rest of your life. You can give birth, like this Princess of Discs here is pregnant with possibilities, pregnant with the future, pregnant with all of the things that you want to accomplish. Okay? But you have to do the work to give birth to all of these things, whatever it is that you truly desire. Now that we're kind of coming out of this illusion, coming out of this toxic environment, we can very soon, I believe, focus on the manifesting our goals and dreams, aspirations. What is it that you want to accomplish? Where is it that you see yourself in a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years? Where do you want to be? What do you want to have? Is it the job? Is it the stable income? Is it living in a certain place? Is it a family? Is it your business, your creative outlets? What is it that you envision for yourself in a practical, kind of physical plane level, right? Now, I know we all have, let's say subtle or spiritual goals, spiritual work that we're doing, inner work that we're doing. But this is talking about the environment that is going to be conducive to that, the environment that is going to sustain that and enable you to work on that and to fulfill that. Right? So it's really a symbiotic relationship. You need the spirit in order to manifest the physical, and you need the physical in order to manifest the spirit. Right? So I think this is a really awesome confirmation. Now, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're literally going to be going away to a retreat somewhere. Okay? That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, and I feel like that's what we need right now. At least for a day or two, a few days, a week, whatever you feel is appropriate. We're going to take a look at the extended. If you want to stick around, click on the link that's right up here and you can become a member to the channel, and that way you'll have access to all of the extended readings for all of the weekly and monthly videos. This was your weekly tarot reading, Aries, for February 26th through March 4th on Dove and Serpent Tarot.